This box is called the Russian Dragon because it tells you when a musical signal is Russian or dragging. It's used to measure the timing accuracy of musicians or machines. First, I'm going to show you how it's used to measure timing accuracy of a musician. I've got a piece of music on tape here that has everything except the snare drum. And I'm going to add in the snare drum, and we're going to check my timing. I have a little drum pad here. It's got a snare drum on it. And I'll play back a little piece of the music, and you'll see that there's a metronome and bass and drums and several instruments, and all we need to do is add in the snare drum. We'll hear back, let's listen back to a little piece of it. First you'll hear the metronome. And I'll add in the snare drum. Let me stop the tape here. I'll rewind and let's go ahead and record it. We'll record my performance and then we'll look back at the Russian Dragon and it'll check my timing accuracy. Alright, here we go. I'm going to roll tape and record now. 2, 3, 4. Alright, let's look back. I'll rewind the tape now, go back to the beginning, and I'll take track, I was recording on track 1 here, I'll take it out of record so that we can listen back to it. Now, let's look back up here at the Russian Dragon before we play that little piece back. Now at the display here on the Russian Dragon, you see there's a long row of LEDs. And each time I play, I'm going to light up one of the LEDs here. If the LED is on the right side of center, that means I was ahead of the beat or ahead of the metronome. I was rushing. If I'm on the left side of center, I'm behind the beat or behind the metronome. But the closer the lit LED is to the center, the closer I am to being where I'm supposed to be. The closer I am to being right on the beat or right on the click. You see this area near the center of the display is green. The idea is if I stay in the green area, I'm close enough to the click and everything's alright. So let's play back a piece of that and let's see how I did. Here comes the playback. Well, let's see what this means, this one LED right here. Let me count how many LEDs we are away from center here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And let's look over here on the side of the Russian Dragon. There's an important control called the milliseconds per LED control. This tells you how many milliseconds each one of those LEDs stands for. I said I was 6 away from center, and we're on 5 milliseconds per LED, so that means that that one hit there that hit the yellow light was 30 milliseconds late. 30 milliseconds off. Now, let's look back at the inputs of the Russian Dragon, and I'll show you how I have it hooked up. You see, there's 2 inputs to the Russian Dragon. Channel 1 is called the reference input. That's where you connect the signal that you know has correct timing. In our application here, that's where we have the metronome hooked up. There's inputs both in the front and the back of the Russian Dragon. You see I have channel 1 and 2 in the front and the back, so you can plug in either the front or the back, whichever is most convenient. Right now I have the click drum going into the click track going into channel 1, and the snare drum that I play is going into channel 2, because channel 2 is where you connect the signal that you want to measure. Channel 1 is a reference signal, and channel 2 is the signal you want to measure. And so this is application, I got the snare drum going into channel 2.